Hey, what's going on, guys? It's FPL Yusuf here, and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be bringing you guys my final team selection ahead of the Game Week 3 deadline. We're going to go through some key questions surrounding this coming game week. I'll show you some predicted goals and clean sheet odds, and then I will also show you what my current team is looking like on a free hit as I have activated this week. So I do hope you guys enjoy this video. We've got a lot to talk about, so let's just jump straight into it. Okay, welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for being here with me today on my YouTube channel for another video. So let's get into some key questions surrounding this game week first. And I think the first one up and the biggest talking point is around the Man United assets. So what do we do with them? Do we still go with them? Do we not? Obviously, most of us probably would have seen the result against Grimsby Town on Wednesday, which genuinely just was shocking. You know, Man United, they were just so bad. Like they had a lot of, there was a few changes in there, but there was a few, first teamers out there. Cunha was playing. It just does make me wonder about, putting emphasis on Man United players, and especially for captaincy choice this week as well. Now, I think we have to look at it in isolation. That is one game. And for some reason, there's something about cup games where these results do happen. And it's not like, it's surprising because obviously Grimsby are League 2, Man United Premier League. And it is surprising they lost, but they did lose on penalties. Man United were 2-0 down. They came back to 2-2 and Mbeumo scored. So there were some positives from an FPL perspective, I guess. Obviously, Mbeumo is probably going to be one of the players that if you are, free hitting, which we're going to come on to in a second, it's probably one of the players you're owning. The question is, do we expect Man United to pick themselves up from that loss and then, to come back and score 2-3 goals against Burnley? Because if you're owning Man United assets, that is the reason why, right? Is that you're expecting them to score 2, 3, 4 goals, kind of like what Arsenal did to Leeds. Arsenal were playing Leeds. They had a tough game against Man United first game week up, only scored 1 goal from a set piece. But then when they went into Leeds, you kind of knew that, okay, this is a newly promoted side, which, a team like Arsenal will target and, will go to town on. And they did. They won 5-0. So I think it depends on how you feel about Manchester United. So you'll see later in the video when I show you guys my team where my head's at with it. But I think Man United assets are good. I don't know if I would be buying them. If I was on a free hit like I am this week, yes, I would say, there are opportunities to get points there. But if you're talking about an actual transfer to bring them in, I'm not so sure for this 1 week. Obviously, some people will have Bruno Fernandes in their team. If you have him, obviously you're going to keep him because it is Burnley and it is at Old Trafford. I would be maybe a little bit more reserved if I was making an actual transfer to bring one of them in. Okay, so then we come on to, should we be free hitting this week? And I think the overall consensus of this is it depends on your team. So, for example, my team, I had Arsenal playing Liverpool, which means I had Gyökeres, Ekitike, and Wirtz. I had Man City playing Brighton, so I had Ruta playing against them. So I couldn't bench all of them. And obviously, one of my bench players is Potts from West Ham, who's not playing at the moment. So for me, I had about 4, 5, 6 changes, which I could have made. And for me, that was enough to say, okay, cool, on a free hit, let's target it. Plus, I did want to get Chris Wood in as well. So it made sense for me to free hit this week. But it is team dependent. Don't feel like you need to play a free hit. Like, obviously, the Arsenal-Liverpool game is obviously a tricky one because a lot of us will own assets from that game, whether it be Ekitike, Wirtz, Salah, Gyökeres. Obviously, some people might have had Saka, which they're going to have to deal with now. So I know a lot of people will be invested in those games already just because of the way the season started. But it's not a bad fixture to play any one of those players in. I think you can see it from both sides. I think, if you're on the Arsenal defence, 100% you can see Arsenal going to Anfield and keeping a clean sheet. Vice versa, if you've got the likes of Salah, Ekitike, if you don't really want to play your free hit, or maybe you've already played it, or maybe you want to save it, then these players can still return in this fixture. So don't feel obliged to play it. I think for me, it was just I had about, half my team, which I could have changed. And I thought for me, obviously, bear in mind, I activated this with the Man United before the Grimsby game. So Burnley was a game that I was trying to target with Man United. Same with Nottingham Forest and West Ham. So it all depends on your team. But yeah, I think if you've got sort of like 5, 6, 7 changes which you think you could make on a free hit, I think it's probably worth it. If not, then maybe it's worth saving it for another time down the line. Obviously, game week 6, for the people who don't own Haaland, Man City playing Burnley at home, that will be a fixture that I think a lot of people will want him for. So there will be other times that you can use your free hit, but I think if you're looking at your team now and you can see multiple changes which you could make, I would probably just jump on it and try and target some of the fixtures this week. Right, so let's take a look at some predicted goals and clean sheet odds. And as always, this graphic is provided by Rob T FPL. I will leave a link to his X down below in the description. So we'll start with the goal scoring first. And Man United are top of this list at 2.18. I don't know when these stats were taken. I don't know if after the Grimsby game it will still be like this high. But they are expected to score 2+ goals, which is why, when I come into my team selection next, you'll see why I've gone for the players I've gone for. Chelsea are also there against Fulham. This one I don't know about because Fulham they're a decent team. They are a very tricky team to play against. obviously, if Chelsea haven't got Cole Palmer, I think it does lessen them a little bit. João Pedro obviously did flourish last week, but that was West Ham. I think Fulham will be a different kettle of fish to try and deal with. You know, we saw when Chelsea played in the opening game week against Crystal Palace, when they come against a team who's organised and know what they're doing, it can be difficult to break them down. So this one, I don't know if obviously if you've got the likes of João Pedro, you just keep him. But I personally wouldn't be going out there to rush to go and get these type of players in. Then we come on to Tottenham. Again, I think it's a little bit high. It's 1.95 against Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth are a decent outfit. Maybe this is going to be quite an end-to-end game. I think both teams are sort of known for their attacking side of things. Obviously, Spurs, over the long course of run, have got good fixtures. So if you've got the likes of Mohamed Kudus, you know, if you've gone Richarlison, you'll just keep them for now because they are predicted to score goals. And, you know, even if they don't this game, it's for the international break and after, they've got very good fixtures to carry on running. And just below the 2-goal mark is Man City. I think this will be a good game for Manchester City against Brighton. Brighton haven't looked that convincing to start the season. Defensively, they've looked like they're able to be gotten at. And I think Erling Haaland will sort of relish in this game. So yeah, if you've got him, I think he's definitely a captaincy shout this week. Obviously, Tijani Reinders, if you've got him, start them. So yeah, I think Man City could do quite well this weekend. So we'll talk about captaincy in the next section. But yeah, those are the top 4 predicted teams to score goals. Then we have a look at the clean sheets. Man United are nearly at a 50% odd, which this one I'm probably inclined to agree with more. Obviously they rotated the whole back line against Grimsby, which is obviously, had they played their starting 3, would Grimsby have scored? Maybe. But I think they're just better when the likes of De Ligt are there. So yeah, for me, as I said, I'm going to comment to him in a second, but Man United are up first with 48%. Nottingham Forest are also there, 41% against West Ham. I think this should be quite a good fixture for them. And hopefully for those who are on Forest defence, and especially double Forest defence, hopefully, fingers crossed, this will be the first clean sheet for you this season. And finally, Chelsea are also there at 39%. Again, I don't know if this is a little bit higher for Chelsea. I think Fulham are a seriously underestimated team, and they always seem to just score a goal. It's very rare that you get them a shutout on them. They don't usually score 2, 3, 4, but they do always seem to just get 1. So just bear that in mind. I think, you know, if you've got Cucurella, Robert Sanchez, you just keep them for now because, you know, they still got good fixtures after the international break. But just err on the side of caution with that if you are free hitting. Right, so let's come on to my team for game week 3. And as I said, I have activated my free hit chip. It is worth me saying, at the time we recording this is Friday morning. I'm just going to timestamp for this for you guys. I think that there could be a few changes, especially in my defense. So just take this with a pinch of salt. The midfield and attack should be pretty much good to go, but it's more the defense I think could be changed. So we'll start off in goal, and I have got David Raya. Now, I know on paper that looks absolutely crazy because Arsenal going to Anfield. My line of thinking about this is Liverpool have looked okay going forward. I think they've got a little bit lucky with the amount of goals they've scored. Arsenal defensively have looked very, very good, and they have yet to concede a big chance, despite the fact, you know, they gave up all the possession to Man United. Man United didn't create a big chance in that game. So for me, Arsenal's defence have started the season really well. And my logic behind the David Raya pick is if Arsenal go to Anfield and get, you know, a 1-0 win, a 0-0 draw, or they just keep a clean sheet, David Raya is probably going to be a very important part of that, which means save points, could be coupled with bonus points. I am also thinking of a double Arsenal defence. Now, I don't know if that's too much because I have to remember it is Liverpool at the end of the day and they are at Anfield. But I just have a feeling that Arsenal could go there and get a clean sheet. And I think if that is the case, Arsenal's defence, whether it be Saliba, Gabriel, or Raya, the centre-back's obviously going to rack up DEFCON. The keeper's going to rack up saves, which will in turn bring in bonus points. Because I don't see that being a high-scoring game. If Arsenal are going there to be resolute and defend, they will. If Arsenal do win that game, it will be like a 1-0, 2, maybe 2-0 at best. But it won't be much more than that, which means the defence are going to have a lot of work to do. So David Raya is in goal for now. Whether I keep him or not is another question, but there is just a part of me that wants to go for him because I just think, as I said, I think his performance, if Arsenal win the game, will be quite telling, and I think you'll see save points coupled with bonus points. So I have gone for David Raya in goal at the time we record this. Now, I've got a back 3. Now, like I said, this could change. So I've gone with Muriello first. I think he will stay. I do want a piece of the Nottingham Forest defence. They are, like I said, they're second for predicted clean sheets, and I do think that hopefully this will be the week that they get it. Livramento and Cucurella. Now, these are the 2 that I am contemplating. Obviously, I spoke about Man United and I did want Matthias de Ligt in there. Now, if I bring de Ligt in, it will probably be for Cucurella because, like I said, I don't know how certain I am on Chelsea's clean sheet, but Cucurella does offer a lot of attacking threat, especially when Chelsea are at home and they are playing at Stamford Bridge this week, which is why I don't really want to get rid of him. But at the same time, I think de Ligt has got more chance of a clean sheet. So there is a potential swap for that. I could swap him for Livramento as well. Leeds away, not the easiest fixture. I'm going to wait and see what happens in the press conference. Now, obviously, it's worth me saying Eddie Howe is a liar and don't take what he says for gospel. It's just the fact that they lost a few players. They lost, I think it was Joe Linton, Sandro Tonali. Obviously, Anthony Gordon's going to be suspended for this. So they're going to be, they could be hampered with injuries. So I need to wait and see what the press conferences are. But if anyone's going to change from this defense, it probably will be Livramento, depending on the outcome of that press conference. So that is my back 3 for now. I really do want De Ligt in, and there is an outside chance that I go for a Gabriel or a Saliba as well. But we're going to have to wait and see. I need to think about that one. Then we come up to the 5 across midfield. So we'll start off with the elephant in the room, shall we say, and that is the 2 Man United players, Cunha and Mbeumo. Now, like I said, I think the Grimsby game, you have to take it in isolation. I do think Man United will score in this game. I think they are at Old Trafford. I think they'll create chances against Burnley. The only thing for me is Bruno Fernandes a viable option in this game? I think, obviously, when we saw him in centre mid against Arsenal and then against Fulham, he had to do a little bit more defending. I don't expect him to have to do that much this game week. And obviously, if he's on penalties, I don't see him, even if Man United get penalty, I don't see him giving it up because he missed the last one. Obviously, Mbeumo missed in the penalty shootout. So I can't help but feel that he will continue to stay on penalties, which makes me wonder, is he the best asset? However, obviously, Cunha and Mbeumo will play further forward. Will Sesko start? I don't think so, personally. I think that, Amram will go back to his Mount on the left and Mbeumo on the right, Cunha through the middle. And if that is the case, then I do like Cunha and Mbeumo. Mbeumo was a captaincy shout for me. I'm not going to go that far. I just want to own the assets. I think captaincy will be between one of my strikers, which we're going to come into in a second. Anthony Elanga is in here. This one could change. Now, there is an alternative scenario that I take Elanga out completely and go for a back four and obviously bring De Ligt in and just leave the rest of the defence as it is. I think I liked Elanga a lot more when Gordon was there. Now that Gordon's not there, I know Newcastle are looking like they're going to get a striker from Germany, Waldstadt, I think his name is. He's a very good player, but I don't think he's obviously going to be ready for this game week. There is talks about them reintegrating Alexander Isak back in the squad, but again, even if that is the case, I highly doubt it's going to be this week, which means I imagine it'd be Barnes on the left, Elanga on the right, and then Usla in the middle. So I don't know about Elanga at the moment. It's a 50-50 call with him. So I'm just going to wait and see what happens, see what the press conference says about Newcastle's overall squad, and we'll go from there. Tijani Reinders, he is in my main team. I'm not taking him out. I think, like I said, Brighton could be quite a good game for Man City on paper. So I think he is probably a 90% stay. Unless something happens where, someone else pops up or I decide to change formation, Tijani Reinders will be there. Obviously, a fantastic price. Not that it matters on free hit, but yeah, I think he's got the ability to create in this game. And finally, someone who's maybe gone a little bit under the radar, and that is Dan Ndoye from Nottingham Forest. Now, he's got 2 returns in his last 2 games. I think he hit a 7-pointer and a 9-pointer. And obviously, West Ham, I am hoping Forest are going to score goals in this one. So I have doubled up on the attack. I've gone for Ndoye, which brings me on to my 2 striker pairing. Obviously, the other one is Chris Wood. I just think that there could be goals in this game. West Ham are just looking so bad at the moment. They lost to Wolves in the Cup. They're just not looking good at all. And I think that Forest, really could take advantage of this. So, yeah, Chris Wood and Dan Ndoye, both from Forest, are in there. And obviously, finally, last but not least, is Erling Haaland. Like I said, Brighton, on paper, could be a great fixture. He does usually tend to do well against Brighton as well. I remember last year, I think it was, he gave Duncan Van Heck the runaround. So, yeah, for me, he's going to be up front. Captaincy this week, it will be between Chris Wood or Erling Haaland. Like I said, I was set on Mbeumo, but after seeing that Grimsby game, I'm just not sure. I do think they can score goals, but I don't know if I'd want to risk it. So I think Chris Wood is leading the way right now. It's probably like a 60-40 split in between him and Haaland. I don't think I'm going to go for Mbeumo. I think it's just a little bit too much. I'd rather just own them. If they get points, fantastic. But I think captaincy will probably be on one of my forwards this week. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please don't forget to drop a thumbs up and subscribe down below. That is it. That is my team. Free hit active for game week 3. Obviously, the deadline is on Saturday, so stay tuned for that. It will be 11 a.m, so back to our usual time. There was supposed to be one on Friday, but I think because Crystal Palace were playing in Europe, they changed it. So first game up is Chelsea versus Fulham on Saturday. If you guys got any questions about my team, about your team, feel free to drop it in the comments down below. Follow my X because I will show you guys before the deadline what my final team selection is. Because like I said at the start of the video, it could change. And, there's players like De Ligt that I do want to bring in. Am I sure about double up on Man United midfield? Newcastle, what's happening with them? So there's a few questions still need to be answered, but obviously we'll have to wait until later on today when the press conferences come out. So stay tuned for that. As always, thank you all so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for your support recently as well. My video, the FPL challenge one did really well. And thank you for all the new subscribers. If you guys haven't already and you're watching this for the first time and you enjoy the content, please subscribe down below. It really does help me out. But as always, thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great game week and I'll catch you soon.